Big well water. Do we really know what was going on the day?
Morning everyone, I'm back up here at Hayes Castle. Thought I'd make an early start, but it still takes me ages to get sorted out. By the time I have a couple of cups of tea, get the kit together, it's just unbelievable where the time goes. Now on the last video, it was Justin and myself up at Bigwell, and I was saying that, you know, it's just hard to believe that when we're in such a confined space, there's the same water, that's Justin, myself, there was another couple of anglers up there, and we were struggling and Justin was pulling them out. But there has to be something more to it. Now, Justin and myself have spent quite a few hours on the phone, we've talked about it quite a lot. Now, this is probably a good few things that we could look at and say, which are, you know, possibilities, what could be and probably ain't. But what we decided to do is to go back up to Bigwell and try and simulate this whole thing again and go through it. So we're both up there with similar patterns, floating lines. The only difference was the braids, but there was a few other little tweaks that I was looking at. But anyway, what we decided, the only way to try and figure that one out is to go back up onto that water. So we'll be going back there at some point. But obviously since then we've been out and doing a bit of fishing. Justin's done fishing up at his end of the world, and obviously I've been coming here, I've done a few other little waters, a little bit of fishing here and there. We've had a stock in this water about 3 weeks ago. Obviously once that stock goes in, you can fish the stockies, and everyone knows then that you can have a good day's fishing for the first week or so as to when that stock goes in. And then once that happens, obviously the fish become more established, and then it gets harder. And obviously being at this time of the year, the fish become also very lethargic. So they're not accepting a lot of the patterns as readily as they may do later in the year. So the methods are going to change all the time. When you first put in the stockies, generally, obviously it's wherever they're stocked, they're going to hold for quite some time before they move off and disperse around the waters. At the moment now I'm starting off with a lure of floating line. So I've got my 5 foot intermediate braid, I've got 4 foot 8 pound, and then another 4 foot 6 pound. And it's the my black and green Fritz type thing. I'm going to put that around the water as much as I can, fan it out, check different levels and fish it as quickly as I can, cover as much water as I can. I'll probably spend an hour going around the water trying this method, and then I'll soon switch. And then what I'm going to do is put another 4 or 5 foot of tippet onto the end of that 4 foot 6 pound. I'll stick with the 6 pound, but join an extra length on. And I've got what we were fishing last year. It's a little beaded apps. It's only about 1 inch long in the red. Last week that was working quite well. The idea of that, longer tippet on the floating line, I can slow it down, I've got more control. It's quite heavy, it drops down quite quick. Get that down onto the bottom, and then with the floating line, just every now and again just play about with it and make it move a bit more. But I've been picking the fish up with that. Now the fishing, obviously when it's fishing for resident fish, a lot of these fish now are distributed around the water. You'll find they'll thin out. You might find 1 or 2 will swim around together still. When you're putting your line out, you'll pick one fish up there, you might get lucky, and in a few casts pick another. But I know a lot that the fish are going down quite quick. Now these fish at the moment, what I've experienced is they're down on the bottom for a while, and then before you know it, they're up a lot higher. And they're all, you know, within 10-15 minutes they can be mid-water and then tighten the bottom again. You're not going to find them, as I say, like the stockies, all in one space, and when you would pile them next couple of casts another way. It's not going to be fishing like that. when you're fishing in waters like this for resident fish. You know, you've got to work for it. All I'm doing here now is just try something a bit different. Last cast, put it out, just left it, drift around, fish it slow deep. Just trying a few different depths, retrieves.
Now if you're on a water that has a lot of angler activity, you shouldn't have a problem locating fish. These waters are going to be stocked more often. Due to it being winter, and for a lot of waters not having the activity during the winter, stocking will be reduced. Fish have to come out for fish to go in. And no fishery manager wants to overpopulate, as this does lead to serious problems for the fishery. Fishing for the resident fish in the winter can be difficult, but the rewards are so great. You get a top quality fish, and if it's for the table, you ain't gonna get anything better. One thing to understand about resident fish at this time of the year is that they spend more time resting than feeding. Like in this lake, I know there is a load of fish and some real corkers, but at any one time you might only be fishing for about 10-15% of these fish. And even at the best of times, fish ain't feeding 24/7. But even in winter, you can get perfect conditions for a small hatch, and if you are lucky, you could bag up. But you got to be quick, as some of these hatches could last as little as 30 minutes, and on a good hatch, could be maybe 2 hours.
So just switched again, took the bead off, because I've been seeing definitely fish are in the top 2 foot or so. Again there. And I put a cormy on, I just had a fish come up for it. It's right on the top. Might scale it down and put something like a dowback or something on in a minute. Or I got this muskin variant that I use a lot. That's been catching a lot of fish that's near the top. I think I will put that on straight away. I'll try that one. This is a bit different to what I normally use. This is a winged. You can see it there. Try that thing. This is what's been happening over the last few weeks. The fish, you see them, they're short period, moving about a bit, and then all of a sudden drop right off again. So we've had about 15-20 minutes of the fish moving about on the top. So you're constantly switching the method. And the only other way then is probably with a 2 rods, so you can switch it a lot quicker. Or just be patient and wait. At last. Oh, bloody hell. Hard fish. Wow, that's the smallest rainbow I've had in here. Eh? Smallest rainbow I've had in here. He's a little dinky thing. Tell you what, fin perfect though. Not a single thing, not even a little nick or nothing out of him. Yeah, oh, he's off. Just lost one then. Oh, and again. One's gonna stick in a minute. Okay, time to change location. What I'm going to do is head over to the island. I think I'll leave this camera here. We just use the GoPro, go off the island and fish around up that right hand arm. Oh, you come off. Had another one then. Yes. Straight away. That was a good solid hit, that. Watching that wind and thinking there's a lot more going on over here with this wind. Oh, and he's come off. That wind is damn strong. Oh, it's cold too. Up with the hood. Oh, he's off. Damn, as he took my hook. Jesus. Snapped me. Can't believe that. Boy, oh boy, what's he done? It's not snapped with a knot anyway. Just a good snap. Bloody hell. Alright, set up again. Okay. Left my other box of flies over on the other side. So what I've got is it's the Eladine pattern. I'm quite happy with that. It's a successful pattern. It's had quite a few fish. I'd say this will be a lot slower going down now. Oh, hit straight away. Sometimes when you're fishing this pattern as slow as I am now, the fish pick it up and they hold on. Sometimes you think you've got weed, so it's worth a steady pull before you do anything, not just assume it's weed. And at times then you just feel it and he's on. This is a good little spot to fish anyway, because any fish in the main lake, you're covering a smaller area, although it is still quite a large area, but it's a lot smaller than everywhere else. And the fish coming through, if they want to go up that arm, up the top end is obviously a lot more weed. So you can intercept them fish. Another good thing, when you've got a bit of wind like that and that tension is on that line, you know it's fishing quite well.
You know, it's never going to be quite static. You can have a nice little, being that the marabou's soft, just that tension, that little bit there, it'll just swim them tails nicely. You don't always have to move these lures too quickly. The wind is really strong. What I'm doing is putting the, if you notice I do this, and I've said about it before lots of times, is what I do is when a strong wind like that with a floating line to help me get my fly down, I'll stand here and make the cast, and I know my line's going to be like that as it is now, but then once I walk down the wind I'll be able to drop that line a bit. So it's a really good way of presenting the fly, getting it to the depth you want. As I say, I'm moving up the wind again. If you like, just put the cast out by here somewhere. So in this wind, you know, you're never going to stop that wind carrying that line down. Just messing about with my net then. Let's just try that again. Right, once I've done that, as you can see, I'm walking down the wind. Obviously, if you haven't got an opportunity to walk downwind like that, but in the time now, that line is now, or the fly is now able to sink. It's either that or you're not going to get a successful mend in the line in this strong wind. It is really strong. Come down the wind again. It gives it that chance. There, our wind's dropped off a little bit again now. Just what we didn't, that's picking up again. This is when you get caught out in conditions like this. That wind just suddenly dropped, then you could be putting in a big cast and then all of a sudden it just picks up from nowhere. And then you're in shit street. Well, it's been a while, but at last I've had a few knocks. Probably a good 10 foot down or more, and slow twitching. Again on that red apsy thing. I've switched a few different patterns, tried different levels. We've got to be honest, and it's that wind, it's got to be this wind. GoPro's playing up again. I hope this comes out. Okay, so the GoPro kept stopping, so I've given that up. Now if you're ever out and you're doing the winter fishing and you've got a method and it seems to be working, but after a while you're not picking fish up and you've already fanned around, checked the waters, you want to change the method. The fish are moving up and down in the columns a lot quicker. Generally I find when they're lower in the water they're going to be moving slower, but there are many methods that will work on the day. A few weeks back there was a chap called Gavin on this water and he pulled 13 fish with an egg suspended under an indicator. But then 2 days later, the same method, you would struggle to pick a fish up. So you really have to choose the method for the day. But I think that method may have struggled a bit today. Now after watching that video, some may question why I'm not using maybe an intermediate or a sink line. But there's a really good reason for this. So what I thought I'd do is probably put a video together on when would I use a sinking line and when I wouldn't use a sinking line. It's all down to presentation. So watch out for that one. That could be interesting.
Well, honestly, that wind has not let up. It's still bitterly cold. Even the middle part of the day, it's bitter. And I think this is what's keeping the fish down a bit. I have seen one or two move on the top now and then, but not like it normally is. But even when them fish are moving on the top, I've tried to target them fish, as I say, with the washing line method, small little buzzers. I've tried lots of different patterns and I'm not picking them up. The best I done was about a week or so ago with a small black lure casting out. It only dropped about 3 foot and fish hit it, and that was just under £6. Some shots of it, because the GoPro was playing up again. I was actually trying to get a video out and sorted then at that time because I was filming. But when I got home, the footage was really bad. The camera kept shutting down, blipping. It was doing all sorts. And this camera was tricky to get out because of the higher wind. So it was no go. So I was determined to get something on a camera today, regardless of the conditions and regardless of the fishing. Did lose a few, lost 3 of my little app wormy things. One to a fish that snapped me off, quite solid. It was on for a bit and then it come off. So it's not been too bad. In the winter months, when you get these small waters like this one, you're not getting stock put in more regular. There's not many people fish at this time of the year. Come the summer, you're finding regular stock going in. So you've always got stockies to target. So you're always going to have something. But these fish now, they're settled. They've gone down. They're lethargic. They're not eating much. They'll come on. They'll have a little snack now and then. But the majority of them are sitting down. They're not budging. Stockies generally, what I find is after about a week they start dispersing a bit and then they start switching on and they get trickier and trickier. The longer they're in, the harder they get then, because obviously they're getting accustomed to what's out there. But I still enjoyed it. It's still good. But I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a tough one. Some days you go out and it can be, on a day like today even, it can be amazing. You just don't know until you're out there. You've got to get out and try it. You just don't know. Like any day of fishing, you can go out even in the best time of the year, like April, May time is always a good one, but you can't always guarantee it. It's fishing, but it has been good. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the bell for future content, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Some other nice fish.